Good morning, friends. Now, in the environment management topic and in the environment subject, we have discussed a lot of things like global warming, acid rain, etc. And now we are going to discuss about the pollution like air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, plastic pollution, etc. But these topics are very vast because their sources, then effects, how to control, how to treat these pollutants, and what are the equipments or the latest technology which are used to control these types of pollutions is a very vast topic. But from the diploma degree point of view, I will discuss these pollutions in a brief. So this is the first pollution, that is air pollution. So it is the presence of one or more contaminants like dust, mist, smoke, color in the atmosphere which are dangerous or injurious to the human health, plants and animals. So whatever the impurities or the foreign material which are present in the air, in the atmosphere, which can adversely affect on the environment is called as air pollutant, and the process is called as air pollution. That is the simple definition for this air pollution. So what are these causes of this air pollution? Rapid industrialization, that is one of the major concern and major cause for this air pollution. Then fast urbanization. So we are developing the cities, we are developing the urban areas, and that is why in the development activities, the deforestation activities and some other anthropogenic activities are done, and that is also one of the cause for this air pollution. Then rapid growth of populations, as the number of peoples, it means the population is going to increase, the oxygen level and the carbon dioxide level are changing. Then growth of vehicles. So nowadays you can understand from the statistical data that in the India as well as in the other countries, the number of vehicles are increasing day by day. So if the number of vehicles are increasing, it means the fossil fuels are going to consume more and more. And the fossil fuels like petrol, diesel, CNG, NG, LPG, etc. are going to consume by this vehicle. It means in the internal combustion engine, they are going to burn. That is called as combustion process. And after combustion, the vehicle is going to gain the energy from that fossil fuels. But the byproducts or the waste is nothing but the flue gases, that is in terms of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur derivatives, that is SOx, that is SO2, SO3, etc. and nitrogen derivatives NOx, that is NO2, NO3, etc. So there are many pollutants, that is air pollutants are forming or due to this vehicle or due to this fossil fuel combustion. Then human activities. So there are lots of activities, that construction of buildings, then deforestation activities, then addition of companies or the factories in the MIDCs, then the road construction, highway constructions, bridge construction, etc. So all these activities are, we called it as developing activities and the development of that particular area. But the negative side of this development or these human activities, it is also called as anthropogenic activities. Anthropogenic activities means the activities which is done by the human and which adversely affect on the environment. So these are the different causes which can gives us the different pollutants, and due to these pollutants which are present in the atmosphere or in the air pollution causes. So what are the sources of the air pollution? So basically there are two types of sources. One is natural source and second is artificial source. So natural sources means the volcanic eruptions activities, then forest fires, biological decaying, that is biodegradable materials are converting their organic waste into other materials and with some gases. So that is also a biological decaying activity. Biodegradable materials are going to convert in other materials as well as in the gases. Then pollen grains. So these are the natural sources, and these sources are from many years. But when we are talking about the natural sources, all these natural sources are producing the different gases, and which is also an essential part to balance these activities on the earth. It means these gases are producing the greenhouse gases, which are having the capacity to hold the heat that is from the sunlight, and we can maintain the temperature of the earth at a particular level so that our earth can be sustained. So approximately 25 degrees Celsius is the comfortable temperature for our earth, and that can be maintained by the natural activities and from these natural resources. But then we are adding the more and more gases due to some artificial sources, so like thermal power plants. So nowadays we are using more and more energy, especially when we are talking about the energy. Electricity consumption is the main concern, and then steam consumption, then different utilities like compressed air, etc., we are using in the industries. So basically we need electricity, and for that purpose we are running these thermal power plants, where some power plants are on the basis of coal, some are on the basis of oil, and some are on the basis of gases. So whatever may be the raw material, whatever may be the base and technology of these thermal power plants, but the main or the core point is that these fossil fuels are going to burn, and they are producing the steam, and then steam turbine are using in that plant, and these steam turbines are going to convert this energy, that is steam energy, into electricity. So that is the process for this thermal power plants. But the negative side is that we are combustion we are doing the combustion activities in the furnace. That is nothing but the fossil fuel combustion, and fossil fuel are nothing but the hydrocarbons. So these hydrocarbons are going to convert into different gases like CO, CO2, then NO2, NO, SO, SO2, etc. Because generally in the fossil fuel the sulfur contents are there, and the basic contents are hydrogen and carbon. So hydrogen is going to convert into H2O, carbon is going to convert into CO and CO2 depending on the combustion type. If the incomplete combustion is there, then CO is going to form. If the complete combustion is there, then CO2 is going to form. And sulfur contents are then in the fossil fuel. That is why the sulfur is going to convert into SO2 or SO3, because basically the combustion activity is nothing but the oxidation. So oxygen is going to add naturally from the air, because air contains approximately 79% nitrogen and 21% oxygen, by considering the remaining gases as a negligible contents. So from that air, the oxygen is going to react with the hydrocarbons, and then they are going to form some oxides like CO, CO2, NO, NO2, SO, SO2, etc. So these pollutants are again the source for this air pollutions from the thermal power plants. In a similar way, we have already discussed about the vehicular emissions, because in the vehicles we are using this petrol, diesel, gases like CNG, LPG, etc. All these are nothing but the hydrocarbon again, and we are using the internal combustion engine for the combustion activities. And in the internal combustion engine we are providing the air, indirectly we are providing the oxygen for the combustion process. It means for the oxidation process. And whatever the fuel we are using, that may be a petrol or diesel, normally these two fuels are utilizing in India more and more, and that is why depending on the hydrocarbon contents, depending on the carbon number, these carbon or hydrocarbon are going to convert into different pollutants. So vehicular emissions is one of the major concern, and if you observe or you can go through the statistical data of India, you can easily observe that in Delhi the highest air pollution is there. So you can go through the statistical data like PM particulate matter or SPM suspended particulate matter or some derivatives like the oxygens derivatives what we have mentioned. So this is the vehicular emissions, that is one of the source. Then fossil fuel burning. So other than the thermal power plant and vehicular emissions, there are some activities like simple the boiler. So in the industries normally we are using the low pressure or high pressure or medium pressure steam, and this steam can be generated with the help of boiler. So in the boiler we are using the fuel and furnace. So fuel may be a biobriquettes, maybe a agricultural waste, maybe a coal, and sometimes some boilers are running on the basis of oil or gas. But all these are nothing but again hydrocarbons, and that is why these activities like boiler or furnace or some other activities where we are using these fossil fuels for burning purpose, and with the help of these burning or combustion activities we are producing the different types of energy, or rather we can say that we can convert one type of energy into another form. So these fossil fuels are nothing but the chemical energy. After combustion, the heat is generated. It means the chemical energy is going to convert into heat energy, and this heat energy can be generated or converted into the electricity or in a mechanical motion or in kinetic energy. So there are various activities which are in the industries as well as in the other places, which is called as artificial source for the air pollution. Then classification of air pollutants. So the classification of air pollutant is again basically there are primary and secondary pollutants. So primary pollutants means they are directly emitted in atmosphere in the harmful form like CO, carbon monoxide, NO, CO2, SO2, etc. So depending on the type of combustion, depending on the parameters, these hydrocarbons are going to convert into different pollutants directly to the atmosphere. If these pollutants are formed after combustion and they are going to mix with the atmosphere, then it is called as primary pollutants. If these primary pollutants are combined or react with some other components, and if they are going to form new pollutant, then it is called as secondary pollutant. So if NO is the primary pollutant, and if NO is reacted with the oxygen which is present in the atmosphere, then after reaction NO is going to convert into NO2. So the basic or the primary pollutant is NO, and after reaction or after combination with the oxygen, then it is going to convert into NO2, and that is why it is called as secondary pollutant. Likewise, if NO is going to convert into NO3 or NO2 is going to convert into NO3. So in a similar way, whatever the primary pollutants which is already present in the atmosphere, if they are going to combine or react with other components, and if they are going to form a new pollutant, then it is called as secondary pollutant. And if these secondary pollutants are reacted with the moistures, like NO2 or NO3 is going to react with moisture, then HNO3, that is nitric acid, may be formed, and that is one of the source for the acid rain. So this is the classification and sources of the air pollution. Now this table gives you the idea what exactly the pollutants like CO, nitrogen oxide or nitrogen dioxide or SPM, what are their characteristics and how it adversely affect on the human health or the environmental parameters. So say for example, carbon monoxide is there, that is CO. The characteristics of this carbon monoxide is colorless, odorless gas formed by incomplete combustion of carbon containing fuels. Incomplete combustion means what? C plus half O2. So if only half molecule of oxygen is combined with the carbon, then carbon monoxide is going to form. If complete combustion is there, it means C plus O2. So total one molecule is there which is going to react with the carbon. Then CO2 is going to form, that is carbon dioxide. So carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide both are air pollutant, but carbon monoxide is more toxic in nature as compared to the carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is better than the carbon monoxide as far as the air pollutants are concerned. So this is carbon monoxide's characteristics. So how it affects on the health and the environmental parameters. So it reduces the ability of red blood cells. What does it mean? Normally in our body, oxygen we are inhaling through the respiratory tract, and this oxygen is going to react with the hemoglobin, that is Hb. So oxyhemoglobin is the molecule which is required for our routine activity. But when carbon monoxide are going to prepared or form in the atmosphere, and if we inhale this carbon monoxide instead of oxygen, then this carbon monoxide is directly reacted with the hemoglobin, and carboxyhemoglobin is prepared instead of oxyhemoglobin. And this carboxyhemoglobin is or can be directly attacked on the central nervous system. So which may indicate due to some symptoms like headache or anemia, etc. And even we can lose our judgment for a moment, and that is called as carbon monoxide attack. So this is one of the pollutant, its characteristics and their health effect. Then second one is nitrogen dioxide. So the characteristics of this nitrogen dioxide is reddish brown, irritating gas that causes photochemical smoke. In atmosphere, it gets converted to nitric acid, and it is caused by burning fossil fuels in industries and power plants. So this irritating gas is of color reddish and photochemical smog. What is meant by photochemical smog? So smog means smoke plus fog, that is smog. And when this smoke plus fog, that is smog, is prepared or formed when the sunlight is present, then it is called as photochemical smog. So photo means photons, that is energy pockets, that is sunlight, and when the chemical reaction of this smoke and fog is there in the presence of sunlight, then it is called as photochemical smog. So this photochemical smog can be generated, and if the nitrogen dioxide is reacted with the moisture which is present in the atmosphere, then HNO3, that is nitric acid, can be prepared, which is one of the cause or the reason for the acid rain. So which is directly affect on our lungs. So that is the health issue, lung irritation and damage to the trees, lakes, soil and ancient monuments. NO2 can be damage the fabrics also. So nitrogen dioxide can be affect on our lungs, and that can damage to the trees, lakes, soils, etc. Then third one is SPM, suspended particulate matter. So what does it mean? Normally, before 1 or 2 decades, we are using the terminology that is called as particulate matter only. Whenever we are discussing about the air pollution or the maximum permissible limits in the State Pollution Control Board guidelines. But nowadays, we are discussing about the SPM. So the particulate matter which can be suspended in the atmosphere, in the air, that is called as SPM. So there is a specific criteria in terms of microns, that is the size of that particular matter. So the specific range of the particulate matter which is suspended and which can be inhaled by the human beings or the animals, that is called as SPM, suspended particulate matter. So it includes variety of particles and droplets that can be suspended in atmosphere for short to long periods. So some SPMs can be suspended in the atmosphere for short time, and some SPM can be suspended for the long time. Source is the burning of power and industrial units, diesel and other fuels. These are the different sources. What is the adverse effect on the health or environmental impact? The nose and throat irritation, that is one of the health issue. Then lung damage, bronchitis, asthma, cancer, reduced visibility and acid depositions. So these are the different adverse effect on the health and on the environment. So these are the some disease which are directly related to our lungs. So lung damage, bronchitis and asthma. So when we are talking about these SPM or nitrogen dioxide or some other air pollutant, normally these are directly related to the respiratory tract, and that is why this is directly related to the lungs. So through the nose, through this throat and respiratory tract, these pollutants can be deposited in the lungs, and if the deposition is more and for long term, then that attack of these pollutants are for the longer time. Then ozone is next pollutant. Highly reactive gas and unpleasant odor. It occurs on Earth due to the reaction between VOC, that is volatile organic carbon, and nitrogen oxides. So ozone is useful, whatever we know. Normally the common people are knowing about the ozone layer. The ozone layer is used to protect us from the ultraviolet light. So it is nothing but a filter for the UV light, which can come from the direct sunlight to the earth. But due to this ozone layer, due to these ozone molecules, the UV light protection is there for the earth. But when the ozone is forming due to the anthropogenic activities, that is one of the reaction, that is VOC and nitrogen oxides, that is volatile organic carbon and nitrogen oxides, then this ozone is trapped between the atmosphere, that is near the earth, which is not useful. So that can be act as a air pollutant instead of the useful ozone which is at the in the ozone layer. So the health effects are lung diseases, asthma, reduction in the visibility, then forest growth and crop yields, climate change, etc. So due to these ozone molecules, again it acts on the respiratory tract and the lungs, and which may produce the lung diseases. It also affect or participate in the climate change activities like temperature change, humidity change, or the fog creation. Then the next pollutant is photochemical smoke. So we have already discussed about that when in the sunlight, that is with the help of this photo, if there is a chemical reaction between the smoke and fog, then it is called as photochemical smoke. This is brownish smoke that forms on clear sunny days due to chemical reaction among nitrogen oxides and hydrocarbons in the presence of sunlight. So due to this photochemical smoke, there may be a breathing problem, cough, eye irritation, nose irritation, throat irritation, then heart diseases and damage to the plant and trees. So these are the different adverse effects due to this photochemical smoke. Then lead, one of the major pollutants, and now the problem due to the lead is somehow solved for a particular fossil fuel, that is we are using unleaded petrol instead of this leaded petrol. So solid and highly toxic metal sources are paints, metal refineries, lead manufacturing industries or processes, then storage in the batteries and leaded petrol. So these are the main sources of this lead. In the batteries, we are using the lead as a main component, and in the petrol also we are using lead as an anti-knocking agent. So if the fossil fuels like petrol are using in the vehicles, so in the internal combustion engine, in the combustion activity or in the oxidation activity, there is some sound while combustion activity or while converting this chemical energy into kinetic energy or in the heat, and that sound is called as knocking. So to reduce that knocking sound, to reduce that knocking, the anti-knocking agents are involved in that process, and lead is one of the anti-knocking agent. And in petrol we were using this lead, but nowadays unleaded petrol are formed or prepared and we are using unleaded petrol. The adverse effect of this lead is on the nervous system, that is nervous system can be damaged due to the lead contents depending on the quantity of that lead in your body. Then mental retardation, digestive and other health problems. So it is a toxic and heavy metal category, that is why it can directly attack on the digestion systems, it can directly attack on the nervous systems. The next pollutant is hydrocarbons. So decaying of vegetable matter is one of the source for these hydrocarbons, and the health effects is carcinogenic. So carcinogenic means these hydrocarbons are the substances due to which the cancer can be caused. So these are the cancer causing agents, that is why it is called as carcinogenic. So hydrocarbons are carcinogenic substances. So these are some of the air pollutants, their sources, characteristics and their health effects are on the effects on the environment. Now the question is how to control these air pollutant, how to control this air pollution. So there are some of the guidelines, that is common guidelines to control this air pollution. That is, we can use the unleaded petrol, that is one of the solution which we are following nowadays. Then use fuel with lower sulfur and ash content. So if you are using the lower sulfur content, so obviously the sulfur derivatives, that is sulfur oxidation process in the that which converts the sulfur into sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, etc. So there are near about 14 components are there which are called as sulfur derivatives. If the sulfur contents are less in the fossil fuels, then these sulfur derivatives can be reduced. So load of air pollutant can be reduced, and which we can control this air pollution. Then encourage people to use public transport. So instead of individual vehicles, instead of individual four-wheelers, if you follow or the practice for this public transport like bus or the local or railways, etc., then the consumption of these fossil fuels can be reduced. Then we can also use the different forms like walk or cycles. Then we can plant the trees, because plant are nothing but CO2 sink, because these plants are having the characteristics that they are inhaling the carbon dioxide. It means they are absorbing the carbon dioxide which is in the atmosphere, and they are producing the oxygen, and they are giving the oxygen to the atmosphere. So if the more plantation is there, it means more trees are there, and if more trees are there, it means they are producing more and more oxygen and they are absorbing more and more CO2. That is one of the solutions. So forestation is one of the solution for controlling this air pollution. Then industries or waste disposal sites should be situated outside the cities. So these industries are producing more and more fossil fuels gases, that is called as flue gases. And in industries there are many processes where the combustion activities should be carried out. So to control these gases, to control these combustion activities, and to control or to reduce the adverse effect of these gases directly on the residential areas in the cities, we have to plan the industries or the MIDC location outside the city. That is one of the solution to reduce the effect of the air pollutions or the air pollutants. Then emission rates should be restricted to permissible levels. So all the guidelines from the pollution control board is given, and that is called as maximum permissible levels. So that may be in terms of mg per liter, that may be in terms of parts per million, that is called as ppm, or that may be in terms of mg per meter cube, etc. So all these guidelines are already given by the pollution control board, and in the industries we are trying to follow, we are trying to control all these emission up to that mark. Then incorporate air pollution control techniques. So we have to work on the innovation, we have to work on the innovative technologies, we have to work on the cleaner technologies, that is called as CDM, that is cleaner development mechanism, to reduce the air pollutions. So for example, nowadays we are using two-stage catalytic converter in the two-wheeler instead of single-stage catalytic converter. So in previous days we are using only single stage converter. So the hydrocarbons, generally we are using the petrol in the two wheelers. So this petrol is going to convert into the heat, and the carbon monoxide as well as carbon dioxide are formed due to this single stage catalytic converter. But nowadays we are using the catalyst, that may be a platinum, that may be a nickel, in the two-stage catalytic converter, and this two-stage catalytic converter used to convert the carbon monoxide and into the carbon dioxide, because in the second stage whatever the carbon monoxide remains in the first stage of that catalytic converter is going to convert into the carbon dioxide. As we have already discussed that carbon dioxide is better than the carbon monoxide as far as the toxic properties of these two chemical or two components are concerned. And that is why nowadays instead of CO2 is the gas which is produced in the two-stage catalytic converter. Then continuous monitoring of the atmosphere for the pollutants. So State Pollution Control Board is doing these activities to measure the suspended particulate matter, to measure the carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, etc. All these parameters are going to measure by the State Pollution Control Board officers. So normally the high volume samplers are also used for the measurement of these different components, because nowadays these sophisticated high volume sampler are measuring all the components at a in a single equipment and at that particular points. So there are different points which is already decided by this State Pollution Control Board members or the officers, and at that point these high volume samplers are placed. So with the help of these equipments and some other equipments, they are going to monitor this air pollution or the quality of air in the city or in that places. So if the pollution level is more, then they have to decide what exactly the corrective action and what are the precautionary or preventive actions. So for that purpose, the monitoring activity by the State Pollution Control Board is essential to monitor as well as to control the air pollutions. These are the some of the activities which can utilize in the day-to-day life for controlling the air pollution. There are other control measures are also there in the industries as well as in the other places where we can use the latest technology or some alternative technologies to control these air pollutions. Now these are the equipments which is used to control the air pollution in the industry. So now we are going to discuss how to control the air pollution in the industry. So this is the basic equipment that is called as settling chamber, or it is also called as gravitational settling chamber. So from the name itself, it is clearly mentioned that with the help of gravitational force or with the help of gravity, we are going to settle the particulate matter or the solid particles which is mixed in the air. We are going to separate these solid particles with the help of gravity, and the clean gas is going to separate from the outlet. So this is the simple process. Here that is the inlet of this air where the solid particle as well as air is mixed. Then we are passing this air with a particular flow rate, and after passing this air into this chamber, due to the gravity, the solid particles or the high mass particles are going to settle down at this stage in this conical part, and in a similar way there are multi stages of these conical parts, as well as the length of this chamber can be increased depending on the air flow rates. So these particulate matters or these solid particles from this air mixture can be settled down due to the gravity, and this clean gas or the clean air can be separated out. So this is the control of suspended particulate matter by gravitations, and the equipment is called as gravitational settling chamber. The advantages of this gravitational settling chamber are low capital and energy cost, low maintenance and operation cost, temperature and pressure limitations depend on the material of construction, and pollutants are collected in dry state. So we can use this gravitational settling chamber for most of the gases or the gas mixture. Then the efficiency of this gravitation chamber is specially efficient to remove the particulate matter of diameter greater than the 50 micron or mm, because if the particle size is more, so obviously with the help of gravity we can separate out these particles easily. The disadvantage of this gravity chamber is low particulate matter collection efficiency for less size particles and unable to handle sticky material. So sticky material is going to stick to that chamber wall, and that is why it can be separated easily. If the large size particles are there, so near about 50 mm only, then the efficiency is more, otherwise the efficiency is less. So here the another equipment for the controlling of the air pollution, that is called as cyclone or cyclonic separator. So we can control the SPM, that is suspended particulate matter, with the help of centrifugal force. In the previous equipment we are using the gravitational force, and now in this cyclone or cyclonic separator we are using centrifugal force, and the process or activity is called as centrifugation. So in this diagram you can understand this is the inlet, it is called as tangential inlet of this air mixture. So this is the cylindrical part of this cyclone separator, and bottom side is conical part. So the inlet of this air or the air mixture is intentionally as a tangential inlet, so that the centrifugal force can be act on the particles or the suspended particulate matter, and if the centrifugal force is acting due to this tangential force, these particles are moving like this, and this centrifugal force, due to this centrifugal force, these solid particles are strike on the walls of this cylindrical part or of this cyclone, and if these solid particles are strike on these walls, so due to this gravitational force, again these solid particles can be separated out as a dirt from the bottom side, and the remaining gas, that is called as lean gas or clean gas, which can be separated from this top outlet. So in this way this gas mixture can be converted into clean gas, and we can separate out this SPM, that is suspended particulate matter, with the help of centrifugal force, and this equipment is called as cyclone or cyclonic separator. The advantages of this cyclonic separator are less expensive to install and maintain, easy to dispose particulate matter as it is collected in the dry state, and space requirement is less as it is generally a vertical equipment, that is why the space requirement is very less. And now many industries have already designed these types of cyclone separators, and modifications are also done, some rectification is also done, and that is why more efficient technologies in these cyclone separators are also available in the market. So we can easily install and maintain these cyclone separator for controlling the air pollution. The disadvantage of this cyclone separator is it is not efficient in collecting particulate matter which are smaller than the 10 microns. So if the particulate size is less than 10 microns, then it is not efficient for this separation purpose. They can't handle sticky material as well, which is again the same disadvantages for the gravity settling chamber. This is the third equipment to control the air pollution in the industries, that is called as back filter, or it is also called as filtration unit. So just like a filtration technique which we know in a day-to-day life, the same mechanism and the principle is used in this filtration unit. It is also called as back filter. So it is just like a bag, and the principal mechanism is filtration. That is why it is called as back filter. So this is the inlet for this back filter, so that dusty air or the gas mixture or the air mixture is going to send or to provide this with a particular flow rate, and then the design of this back filter is in a such a way that these air molecules or this gas mixture is going to in this direction. So this is downward direction, and then it is in the upward directions. So in this way, with the help of these bags, the solid particles can be blocked, and the remaining gas molecules or the air molecules can be passed through these back filters. So the clean air outlet is here at the top, but the remaining air particles, solid particles are remain at that in the filter or at the surface of that filter. So in this way, we can separate out these solid particles from the gases or from the air. So we are using this compressed air facility for this filter. So this is the compressed air line. So we are using this compressed air for this filter, that is for this bags. The main purpose is to separate out these solid particles from the air mixture. The advantages of this filtration unit or back filter is efficiency of this back filter is near about 99%. So it is more efficient control unit as far as the gravity chamber as well as the cyclone separator is concerned. So comparative to the cyclone separator and gravity chamber, the back filter is more efficient to control the air pollution. Not sensitive to the particle size distribution, as in the cyclone chamber 10 micron size is the limit, but in this case there is no particle size distribution, does not require any high voltage, and can be used to collect the flammable dust also. The disadvantages for this back filter is the fabric life reduces due to the presence of highly acidic or alkaline atmosphere. So these acidic or alkaline nature gases can't be used in this fabric filter or back filter, because the life of that fabric is going to reduce due to these acids or alkaline attack. The maximum operating temperature is 50 Fahrenheit. Fabric bags are prone to burning or melting at extreme temperatures, and certain dust may require special fabric treatments to aid in the reducing package. So if your material or the gas mixture is of alkaline nature, is of acidic nature, or if you want to use this filtration technique at more temperature, more than 50 degree Fahrenheit temperature, then we have to use a different material of construction for these back filters. Now this is next technique, which is called as scrubbing or absorbing. So this is one of the commonest technique which is used in the industries to control the air pollutions, as well as in the effluent treatment plant also. This is called as scrubber. The equipment which is used for scrubbing for the absorption is called as scrubber, or it is also called as absorption column. So from this diagram you can understand what exactly the process is, that is for the absorbent, and from this schematic you can understand easily what exactly the scrubbing mechanism. So these flue gases or the gas mixture is inserted from the bottom of this cylindrical column, and due to the less density particles, due to the high temperature gases, obviously naturally these gases are going to move in upward direction, and we are using the solvent, and this solvent is going to insert from the top. So this is the arrangement for solvent, and this is the distribution technique, and distribution equipments are used to spraying this solvent in this tower. So when these solvents are coming downwards, because due to the gravitational force, due to the gravity, these liquid particles are uh, traveling from top to bottom, and these flue gas particles having less density and high temperature are traveling from bottom to top. So in between this space of this column, these gas particles and liquid particles are in contact, and after contacting this solvent selection is in a such a way that this solvent is going to absorb some of the components from this gas mixture. So after absorption of these components, this solution can be separated out from the bottom side. So that is the simple mechanism of this absorption. Now, if it is the case of flue gases, that is one of the example, then we have to use a limestone as a solvent. So depending on the nature and characteristics of this gas mixture, we have to select this solvent or appropriate solvent. So for the flue gases, we are using this limestone, and then gypsum can be formed at the bottom side, that is as a solution. So remaining gases can be separated out from the top, that is clean gases. So in a similar way, if acidic fumes are there, and if you want to absorb the acids from these acidic fumes, then we have to use 0.1 normal NaOH as a solvent. So this 0.1 normal NaOH is going to react with these acids, and this acid is reacted with alkali, and then neutralization process is done. So these solutions can be separated out, that is acids plus NaOH is separated out, and the clean air is separated out from the top. This is nothing but the scrubbing mechanism or absorption techniques. So the same way it is in this picture, that combustion process, these acidic gases are there, heat exchanger is there, so that we are going to heat these gases, or if you want to use this heat from these acid gases, then you can remove this heat. Then depending on the requirement, we are going to use these particulate control devices like back filters, etc. And then we are using this ID fan, that is induced draft fan, and we are providing these to these chimneys. So depending on the nature of the gases, now in this case this is the acidic gases, that is why we are using the alkali as a solvent media. So these alkalis are reacted with these gases in this section, and after absorption of these acids into this alkaline medium or in the solvent, remaining clean gases can be sent to the chimney, and that can be sent to the atmosphere. So depending on the concentration of these gases, we can send to the atmosphere with the reference to the guidelines which is given by the Pollution Control Board. So these are the various equipments which can be used in the industry to control the air pollutions. Then one of the technique, that is electrostatic precipitation, and the equipment in this electrostatic precipitation is called as electrostatic precipitator. So we can use this electrostatic precipitator to separate out the matters or the particulate matter which are having some charges. So with the help of electrostatic charges, we can separate out some of the pollutants or the particles from the gas mixture. So the technique may be for the dry scrubbing, or that may be in terms of wet scrubbing. So what is dry scrubbing? Harmful components of these flue gases are removed by introducing a solid substance, usually in the powder form, in the gas stream. That is called as dry scrubbing. So we are using the separation of these flue gas components with the help of solid, which is a dry. So dry powder or dry solids are used. That is why it is called as dry scrubbing mechanism. And when we are using the liquid uh, for removing these flue gas components or some other components, then it is called as wet scrubbing technique. So removal of harmful components from exhaust by spraying a liquid substance through the gas is called as wet scrubbing. Both methods work similarly and perform the same process of removing the pollutants. The difference lies in the material they are used to remove the pollutants. If you are using the solids or powder form, then it is called as dry scrubbing. If you are using the liquids or solvent and spraying mechanism, then it is called as wet scrubbing. The mechanism is one and the same. The targets or objective of this scrubbing technique is one and the same. Scrubbing is sometimes referred to as flue gas desulfurization. So D means removal and sulfur. So we are going to remove this sulfur with the help of this technique. That is why it is called as desulfurization. So this sulfur removal from the flue gases. What is meant by flue gases? The gases which are produced after the combustion of any type of process. It is called as flue gases. In these flue gases, there are sulfur derivatives or SOx. That is sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide are there, and that is why these sulfur are adversely impact on our health and animals and trees, etc. And that is why our target should be to remove these sulfur derivatives, and this technique is called as flue gas desulfurization, right? So if your scrubber, if your absorber is going to use for removal of these sulfur derivatives, then this scrubbing technique is called as flue gas desulfurization. Most effective technique for the removal of oxides of sulfur. So that can be done with the help of wet scrubbing mechanism, that is with the help of calcium carbonate, and with the help of dry scrubbing mechanism with the help of pulverized limestone, that is in the dry powder form. So these are the different techniques, and this is the electrostatic precipitator technique, which is highly efficient to remove these sulfur approximately almost 98%. So this is the diagram of this electrostatic precipitator, where these electrostatic charges can be separated out with the help of electrostatic force. And for that electrostatic force, we have to provide this power supply, that is 50 kV. Here insulator is there, and we are providing this gas mixture or inlet for polluted air from this place. And here this discharge electrode is there. So this weight is there to keep the wire in position. So for straight and vertical position, we have to use this weight depending on the thickness and the length of the wire. This weight can be designed. This is the outlet for the dust, and this dust can be collected from the bottom side. So depending on the electrostatic forces, these separation and collection of this dust can be done with the help of this electrostatic precipitator. So main components we have already shown in this diagram, and efficiency we have already discussed that approximately 98% efficiency is achieving, especially for the sulfur removal process. Thank you.